Merry Christmas. Have you been a good boy? I know you have. Come on, Santa's got a surprise.
Several times in history, there has been more than one pope. This is not one of those times. Pope Formosus began his career in the papal arts on October 6th, 891, at the young age of 75, in a time where people lived to the average age of 20 to 30. Life was good for the POPE, except for one thing, and that is Emperor Guy III and his son, who were co-ruling Italy since 1891, same time he got his big hat, and was king of Italy since 889. Really a hat on a hat. Guy number 3 originally wanted to be king of West Francia, modern day France. But when that didn't work out, he decided to have a party over here in Italy. Formosus did not like Guy, so in 896 he gave King Arnulf emperor status, and the two started plotting together to kill Guy number 3. P-R-A-T, why? Because they got to. While Arnulf was preparing for battle, he was seized with paralysis and had to return back to Germany, screwing Formosus. I couldn't find exactly how he died, so my guess is he died in the Challenger explosion with Big Bird. After Formosus died, there's a lot of tension on the Holy See. Would the next pope support Spoleto, Guy III, Tuscany, Naples? Well, it turns out he died, either of gout, like a damn pirate, or by Stephen VI, our next big hat wearer. Stephen VI would take the big hat in the same year, 896, and not only was he pro-Guy III, but he was damn related. So Stephen secured Guy's rule over Italy, and then was like, wait, this is cool and all, but like, what if I made this a little more fucked up? So Stevie was a bit of a fun guy, and he was super mad at Formosus. And before we get into what he did, let's go over some theories about why he did what he did, because we don't really know for sure, but stay tuned because it gets fucked. Theory 1, Stephen was doing what he was doing for political reasons, mostly to getting closer with Guy III, as well as to terrify his enemies, which it definitely would have. Theory number 2 though, and it's a bop, he was just nuts. Now what was the plan? Well, call Comedy Central and get your shovels, because it's time to dig someone up. And I'm not talking about Jeff Ross, because it's time for a good old-fashioned history roast. Because in the Archbasilica of St. John, the building, not the person, Pope Stephen held the main event in January. Formosus the Moses, who had been already buried for 9 months, was dug up, brought to St. John, and accused of violating canon law, perjury, and anything else Stephen could think of. So Stephen was like, you wouldn't steal a car, and started screaming and berating this corpse, to the point that even his supporters were like, man, and he was like, bro, and they were like, aye. So, they kept going. When you were Bishop of Porto, why did you usurp the universal Roman see in such a spirit of ambition? Said Pope Stephen VI. The biggest point that Stephen had, from what I can tell, from what I've been able to read, is the fact that Formosus was exiled from the church. And I know I didn't mention it, but yeah, basically, they were like, hey man, get out of Rome and don't return. And he was like, yeah, cool. And then he did. But it was fine, because they were like, you can come back in. And then, he became Pope later. So, it's got a little muddy. So Stephen was like, hey, how you were kicked out. How can you be, the top shit? But Stephen, he still wanted to be a fair trial. So he got a deacon to puppeteer Formosus' mouth and answer for him. Just imagine go to work one day and your boss is like, hey, dig up your old boss and, muppeteer him. Actually, that sounds actually pretty cool. Get rid of the celibacy and the getting screamed at by a crazy man. That's not bad. Cut all that. The trial ended with a victory royale 360 no-scope Crunchwrap Supreme for our boy Stephen, who then stripped Formosus of all of his floss, cut off his blessing fingers, because you don't want him blessing people when he's excommunicated, and buried in a cemetery for outsiders. But then the next day, Stephen woke up and went, I don't think my point was made clear enough. So he got them to dig up Formosus again and 3-point that blessed bastard into the Tiber River. So while Formosus was chilling in the lazy river known as the Tiber River, his supporters saw him performing miracles on the riverbed. So his supporters staged a coup and imprisoned Steve VI. and everything worked out great. Everyone was happily ever after. They took him, put him back in St. Peter's, recommunicated him, which was nice. Pope Stephen VI was choked to death, which is not great. Guy III was killed while retreating. And King Arnulf, he became the king of Italy for a bit. So, everyone got what they wanted. So, happy story today. Merry Christmas. See, it's a good Christmas special. You can go now. Bye.